Hi, this is Mark from LongIslandWatch.com and welcome to Watch and Learn number 9. Today we're going to be learning about how to change the strap on your watch, or maybe change the bracelet on your watch to a strap. And then we're going to talk about spring bars. Spring bars are perhaps the most underappreciated item in your watch. It serves one of the most important functions. If not, it's the most important piece holding the watch to your wrist. If one fails and you're not wearing, say, like a one-piece, nylon strap, the watch will go to the ground and quite possibly break. All that for a piece that costs, 50 cents or less. We're going to go through a couple of things. We'll go through how to change, a strap on a watch, say like this. You have a black strap watch. You want to make it a brown strap. Maybe you have a watch on a bracelet and you want to put it on a strap. Or maybe you have a watch with an integrated bracelet. I'm going to show you why you cannot change this to a strap unless they make one for it. I'll also talk a little bit about why Seiko spring bars are so fat. Talked about it a little bit in the Watch and Learn where we discussed ISO diving specifications. We're going to get into that a little bit more today. Like I said, it should be interesting for you. Hopefully you can learn. If you don't know how to change your strap, you'll certainly know after this. If you do know how to do it, then the spring bar part might be interesting because I take one apart, I show you all the parts that make it up, and I show you a couple of different spring bars: curved spring bars, fat spring bars with flanges, spring bars without flanges. So we'll get into the video. I guess people want me to do wrist checks, so I'm wearing a Breitling Aerospace titanium, and also I have a lot of watches in my hands, Zinyu 1. So let's get over to the table and start learning about how to change straps and all about spring bars. Okay, so let's go over how to change a strap on a watch. I have here an old, again, I have a lot of junk watches in a pile. This is another junk watch. It's a black multi-calendar Trius, a brand we used to sell. And it's got a black strap on it. So I want to replace the strap with a brown strap. So the first thing you're going to do is take a pair of calipers if you do not know the size. And you're going to measure between the lugs using the inside jaws, these top jaws up here. These are inside jaws, the bottom jaws are outside jaws. So you're going to measure the inside lug dimension, and it is, as you can see, it is 20 millimeters on the nose, which is good. Most straps come in even millimeter sizes, 18, 20, 22, 24. Some oddball watches like the Orient Bambino, Orient M4, some of them take 21s and 23s, which is kind of weird. A lot of vintage stuff takes a 19, but 20 is very common. You can find 20 in a lot of different places, not only our store. So the next thing you're going to want to do is remove the strap. So the strap is held on with normal spring bars. I mean, not all straps are held on with spring bars. Some are held on with screws, but you need to figure out how your strap is held on. If you're in doubt, just ask the place where you bought it or just look online, and I'm sure you'll find the information. So here I have a generic strap changing tool, and it's got two ends. It's got a large fork end and a small fork end. And this small fork end actually does double duty. You can unscrew it and flip it around. It becomes a pin pusher. It's just a straight pin. But in this video, we're just going to use the small fork end or the big fork. So what you need to do is insert the tool between the strap and the lug, and you're going to grab the spring bar, compress it, and then pull it out. So I usually like to start with the big end because I can usually slide it in. You slide it between the strap and the case, and you'll feel it lock. That little fork will lock around the spring bar, and you should just be able to lever it down and pop out the spring bar and the strap. So this just fell out. So you can see the spring bar ends are sticking out, one here, one here. So what I'll do next, just to take out the spring bar, is I'll just use the fork and you push. You can push it through, and out it pops the other side. And then you can take it out. And now you can reuse these spring bars, but what I like to do always, and this is a spring bar by the way, and we'll get more into it. I'm going to break a spring bar down later and show you up close what they look like. But check it. Make sure you compress the ends and it bounces back. You definitely need to feel that springiness because that is cheap insurance. If they don't bounce back, like this one's actually bent. I may have just bent it trying to take it out, I don't know. So I would replace this one. But you want to make sure that they still spring back, because if it doesn't spring back, or doesn't spring back, strong enough, then it's not going to seat properly, and the next thing you know, you're going to lose your strap. and your watch, more importantly, I guess, right? So put that aside. Now we're going to take off the other side. I compress the strap a little bit with my thumb. I put my tool in between the strap and the lug. I feel for the fork to engage the spring pin. And see, I'm having a little trouble with the big end, so I'm going to go to the small end now. And I'll use the small end because now I can actually see it. Get the fork, and then the fork lays on the notches. See the notches on the end of the spring bar? And you can compress it. See that? Push in, it pushes back out, and maybe it's going into my glove. Yeah, I'll do it right on the glass. Don't worry, who cares about the watch? See that? And then flip it around. Same thing again. Okay, so now we take our new strap. If we were replacing the spring pins, we would replace them at this point, and we feed it through. 1. And again, this one, we feed it through. 2. Now, spring bars on our website come in 2 different thicknesses, 1.5 and 1.78 millimeters. The 1.5 will work for basically everything. The 1.78 is more for your bigger straps and also your rubber dive straps. So if you have a strap with a larger hole, you would want to take the larger one. The end tips are still the same size, so they still go into the same size hole in the watch case. You know, these holes in the watch case are around 1 millimeter in diameter. The ends of the spring bars or the spring pins are around 0.8 millimeters, so it is a little bit of a loose fit. So to put it back in, now you're going to bring it up close. See, I have that one end of the bar sticking out. I'm going to pop it in the hole, and then I'm going to rest it against the lug. I mean, you could use spring bar pliers if you have them. They're pretty expensive, and you can eliminate having to rest it against the lug. Now doing it in front of the camera is kind of difficult, as you can see. So we're probably going to edit it and go fast forward. But you put a little pressure on it. You got it. And then you're going to use the small end now, definitely. And you're going to compress it into the lug, and then you're going to feel around. And you hear that click, it snapped. So now I know it's in. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. Put it in. I've got it right there, locked against the case. I'm going to compress it into the strap, and then I'm going to feel around, and you're waiting for it to pop or spring out into the hole. And you know, sometimes you'll totally go out of the lug, and you got to repeat the process. You saw the first one popped in, no problem. This one is taking another few seconds. And there, it just popped in. So now my old watch looks new. It's got a nice new brown strap on it. Great. So that's it. Now, when you're done, pull, twist. Make sure the spring pins are really engaged. Nothing worse than putting it on and then finding out it wasn't in all the way and it plops off your wrist and falls to the floor. So now let's see how we can put a strap on a watch on a bracelet. So I get that question a lot. Can I put a regular strap on my watch? And the answer is usually yes. I'll show you in a minute why sometimes it is no. But what you have to do is you flip it around, and you'll see. By the way, I had this bracelet taken apart. When you remove a bracelet from a watch, you will want to take the bracelet apart, at least maybe at the quick adjustment clasp. It's just much easier to work with if it's opened. But if you flip it over, you'll see where the strap attaches. This end link, as they call it, has a little peekaboo hole, and you can see the spring bar. So you're going to put your tool in, you're going to compress the spring bar, and you're going to work with your thumb, or your forefinger. You just pull out, you apply a little bit of pressure, and you can see now it's out. And because it's metal and it's on an angle, it doesn't fly out. So then you have to actually go and then work the other one at the same time. And there you go. So we have now a bracelet with an end link, and what's holding it together is the spring pin. You'll pull the pin out and watch. Boop, that's it. It was just a regular spring pin. This is a hollow end link. They make solid end links, but just a regular end link, and that attaches to the bracelet. We'll do the same thing with the other side. Now putting a bracelet back on is the exact same thing. Let's say you want to put a bracelet back on the watch afterwards. Exact same thing, same procedure you saw me go through with the leather strap, except honestly, it's a heck of a lot harder. There's less room to work, but you can do it. You just got to work at it. So I'm going to do the same thing again. Now I'm going to put the pins into this strap. Now you'll see that this strap, the pins really aren't fitting because the pins are too fat. So before, I was telling you that sometimes you need a thinner pin. So here I have a pin that is just a little bit thinner, and that will work right through. And then you do the same process and you install it on the watch. I'm not going to go through it. You saw me do it before, but this would be the end result. And that is how you'd put a strap onto a bracelet watch. You could also just install the spring bars on the watch. Just put spring bars on, and then you can get one of those one-piece NATO or nylon straps. And those a lot of people like because you can swap them out really quickly for different looks on a watch. So that's how you do a bracelet. Now there are some bracelets and also some strap watches that you really can't do anything except get the manufacturer's bracelet. So this Seiko 5 has what they call an integrated bracelet. See the final link here? Integrates right into the case. So there's a pin that pushes through. It's not a spring pin anymore. Now it's a pin. It's a pressed in pin. But if you take this out, you're going to be left with this big notch up here. And only this bracelet will fit, or a leather strap with a notch cut in it. And since Seiko doesn't make a leather strap for this, you'd have to really get a strap created for it. So not all bracelet watches can take a strap. A lot of them can, especially if the manufacturer will make one. But just not all. Just be aware of that fact. So now let's talk about spring bars a little more in depth. Like most things in life, all spring bars are not created equal. I have a couple of different variations in front of you. The first one I'm going to pick up here is going to be the one that we sell. We sell this, I'm just going to put my hand behind it for focusing. We sell this in 20, 22, and 24 millimeter, in 1.5 millimeter diameter, and 1.78 millimeter diameter. That's the diameter of the part I'm actually holding it with by the tweezer. That's the barrel. That's for your thicker, your thicker cut leather straps or your rubber dive straps. Usually they take a thicker bar. The thinner bar works. Again, the end tips are the same size, so it will still work in the watch, but it might rattle around a bit. So what is the anatomy of a spring bar? And I think this is important to know what it is, so that you can get an idea of how it works, and also why you really should check them every time you change your strap. Just make sure they spring back into place, and nothing wacky is going on. They are stainless steel. In this case, I believe the ones we carry are 304 stainless steel, so not as stainless as say 316. But debris does get in them. They can corrode and rust, and maybe it'll take a compression set. You'll push the end in and it won't bounce back. That would be bad. So it's composed of 4 parts. This is the center tube. There's a crimp in it because I had to get it apart. I really had to yank it apart. But it is a hollow steel tube. You see how thin the wall is? Super thin. Don't forget, this is what's holding the watch to your wrist. So this is, again, the most unsung part on the watch. It's the cheapest part, or probably not the cheapest, but one of the least expensive. If you had a ratio of importance to price, this would probably be the highest ratio. Most people say strength to weight. This is importance to price. So you have this hollow bar, and then at each end, you have a tip. So let the camera focus. Get some light on it. So on the left is the tip that sticks out of the spring bar, and on the right, where I'm holding it with the tweezer, that's a barrel that gets pressed into that tube, and the tube is crimped so that let me get the real deal next to it. So you can see how that goes. So it's pressed into this hollow barrel, and then the edges of the barrel are crimped over a bit. So if this piece breaks, you can see how small that is. It's around, again, it's 0.8 millimeters in diameter. So that's not a lot of area, so that can easily shear off. I did some quick math, and you could probably shear it off with about 30 or 40 pounds of force. If you remember the ISO video I did, I talked about 45 pounds. being the ISO requirement for a dive watch strap, which is probably why dive watch spring bars are a lot thicker. I'll show you those in a second. So anyway, this is pressed in, and then so there's one on each side of this tube, and then in the middle is this tiny little spring, and this provides the tension or the compression for the ends of the bars that push into the holes on your watch. So that's it. This little guy is what's holding the watch on your wrist. This little spring that looks like it's from a ballpoint pen. So that's the anatomy of a spring bar. Now, I said not all spring bars are created equal. Here's another one. You notice this one's missing those two flanges that stick out. Those two flanges are so important for getting a grip with a spring bar tool. If you don't have them, yeah, you can still take the bar off, as a lot of you disgruntled Seiko spring bar guys know. You can still take it off. It's just a pain in the butt. It makes it so much easier. And then, of course, there's spring bars for curved end watch straps. Now, there's nothing really special about this. You can buy them curved, obviously, but you can make it yourself. Just, if you need one curved, just take a spring bar and just press it against a can of soup or something a little bit. Or you can even use 2 pairs of pliers carefully. You just don't want to kink it. You don't want to kink the metal. And this is obviously bent over a mandrel or something. You don't want to kink the metal. Other than that, it's really just a curved spring bar is really just a straight spring bar that's been bent under control. And the last one I want to show you is, yes, the Seiko fat, as they call them, Seiko fat spring bars. This thing's tremendous. This is what holds on the straps on Seiko divers. And just for comparison purposes, I'll bring up a standard one. Look at the difference. Not only in the diameter of the barrel, but look at the diameter of the tip. Much thicker. Provides a lot more resistance to ripping out of the watch. Again, ISO 6425 requires the spring bars to be of a certain strength, and they do this at Seiko by providing you with extra thick spring bars. It really provides an extra level of security. So this has been Mark from LongIslandWatch.com with Watch and Learn number 9, teaching you a little bit about how to change the strap on your watch and maybe giving you a little bit of an education on spring bars. If you like this video, please like it. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do so at this time. If you have any questions or comments, please put them down below and I will be sure to address them as soon as I can. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.